Hello everyone, and I would like to talk about a topic that has been very important to my heart. So, video games are a concept that are not very well established through the perspective of parents' generation and very well discovered by the younger generations. You see, video games are something that old people can't understand because it is not something of their era. So they often think that we are wasting our times instead of studying or working out or doing something important. We just play games that don't progress our mindset, don't progress our life, don't progress our mental capacity. They don't earn us money, and it's just a fiction. But those same people would spend 4 hours on a Sunday weekend watching a movie or going on a walk or talking to other people. Maybe it's their way of socializing and enjoying pleasures of life. We are a bit different. And considering that perspective, it is often not seen that video game is a positive influence in life. But I would say that's not true because video games, for me, have been one of the most important hobbies in my life. And I just think that seeing things in just one perspective is very wrong. You can say that playing sports might be good for some people or bad for some people. If you overindulge in any sort of activity, it has a dampening effect in your life. Overindulgence is always bad, and addictions hamper your life. But something as a hobby, something that you go down to after a hard work of day, something just is there for you, a sense of comfort and happiness that you get from doing something that you like, just a small amount of fun you do for yourself. That is just pure fun for me. I have not always been particular about video games. They were a crucial part of my life since my childhood. I remember as a child, I was born 2003, so around 2008 or 10, when I was 8 to 10 years old, my parents were not so affluent, but we were doing just fine. So they bought me the CD cartridges where you have a console. It was not a particular official console, it was probably a gimmick third party where you insert a cartridge to a handheld PlayStation portable gimmick. It's not original, but you insert a thick cartridge into it, and you are able to play for 20-30 minutes until the battery goes off. And you are able to play retro games. Like even then those games were considered retro, like uh, very old games, 1980s 1970s game in that handheld. That was my first exposure to it. Next, as I was 12 to 13 years old, I got my first PlayStation portable. My relatives live in foreign United States, so they brought me a PlayStation portable when they visit every year in India, and it was my first exposure to a real console-like experience. It's PlayStation portable. It's obviously not world-changing or outstanding, but it was very special to me. It was that PSP 3000 model, that very unique model that had very less availability even during that time. So I was very happy when I got it. It looked very good. It had, glass edges for click buttons. It was very decent console. And then obviously I pirated games. I did not have money to buy a real game. So I went to my local store, PC store, and they helped me pirate it. And for 50 rupees per game, the demand for gaming at that time was like peak. Like there was like PlayStation 3 was, I think, very well known, and GTA 5 was like on the boom. So people were like crazy buying, coming to the that PC store. That guy was very jugadi. He would do anything legal or otherwise for you for games. So I would stand for an hour or two so that the lines would get less, and then I would tell my request that I want a 50 rupees game, PlayStation Portable, he would give me a 2 to 3 page list that select one of them. And I would select one or two. Then I would wait for him to download for half an hour. I would just sit there, amazed that there was so much demand for this thing. Then I would get my console. My mom would come to pick me up again, and I would go home. I would play for 3 to 4 hours for the day I got the game. I would play 3 to 4 hours next day after all my school and football classes and all those things that normal people are supposed to do. Anytime free time that I had, barely to do 3 hours every day, I would spend it all in video games. I would be so giddy. I would jump from one sofa to another when I won a game. And then eventually, those consoles are not meant to last very long. 2 to 3 years is max it could handle. So I guess max 2 years, it started having issues. So I put it down. That's okay. And then I went on with my life. I became a normal adult. I was well into studies. I was very meticulous hard worker. So I just tried my best, went through life, and then um, I found a very good deal, $200 deal for PlayStation 4 Slim during Black Friday in 2018. And I found it 4 to 6 months ahead of time. I knew that the deal was going to be there because it was the same deal last year. So I had anticipated that this year the same deal would come, and my relatives were also coming that year in India again. So it was my, you know, way of getting another console experience. Until then, I was just a medical student reading hundreds of books. I was very into self-development books. I read a lot of them for hobbies, for reading. I am a meticulous reader. So I was about in my ninth standard or 10th standard, ninth standard I was, and then I saw this opportunity to get another console experience. So I asked my parents. They said they had a condition, and I'm so thankful they had a condition that if I got more than 80% marks in boards in my 10th standard exam, he would buy me the console. And my mama would, my relative would bring the console from when they are coming through flight for me. So the thing was, though I was very hard worker and meticulous student, I never got more than 70% in any subject in an entire life. In my entire life, I was a good student. I followed rules. I never failed in any subject ever, but I was not above average, even though I worked for it. And even though I was a very exceptional reader, I read tons of other books other than the academic material that I was supposed to read. And that was something of a challenge to me. I studied very hard for those ninth and 10th standard. Then I got 84 marks in my boards. I was very happy. My parents gladly bought me the $200 PS4 Slim. And my relative who was coming that year from US got me that, thankfully, and it had 3 games free with it. Horizon Zero Dawn was free with it. It's a bundle package, you could say. That console comes with games. And there was a code for God of War, and there was a CD for Last of Us Remastered. And boy, I was amazed. My 10th standard vacation went on just me playing 20 to 22 hours per week, like 2 to 4 hours on some days, 6 to 8 hours on other days. I would minimum get 22 hours to 20 hours a week into gaming. And for someone who has just passed his boards, that is extreme. Even though he has a month of vacation, that is extreme. And as I look back, did it have a positive impact on my life or a negative? I would say it motivated me to do something that was challenge to me. And I think it was a positive influence in my life. So the games that I was able to play that were exceptional. And then I got into stocks and I got 2000 rupees pocket money per month. I just during my college I invested some money here and then I got some profit, and then I got a Nintendo Switch Lite through profit. I had like 1 to 2 lakh of rupees of profit, just profit. That's 2000 rupees income for 4 years working per month. So I got myself an Nintendo Switch Lite because PS4 was not working anymore. 4 to 5 years is max a console can last. It's now overheating. I haven't touched my PS4 for a year because it's not working anymore. But I had my fair share of gaming experiences. And then I played some Nintendo games as a casual portable console. It was not like the influence was extreme into me. Afterwards, I went into college. After you grow up, you have less influence on games. It's natural because you're just so busy all the time, and it's understandable. But my passion for games was not gone at all. I just thought it was wavering below and low and low. Like before, if you got me a game, I would be like 10 on 10 heaven, cloud 9. But now it's like a good alternative, a hobby, you could say. Before on, I would get excited for 2 weeks, but now I get a game. It's good. It's a hobby. It feels good to play them. So that's that. So I'd like to share some of the games that have had a positive influence on my life and why. So one of the games that I played first was Marvel Spider-Man. I've been a Spider-Man fan. In my PlayStation Portable, I had Spider-Man 3, and my brother and I have a cousin brother. He and me would take turns on playing it, and we would literally give each other 5 to 10 minutes of time. And it was like so addicting to me at that time. Like I get to play 5 to 10 minutes, then he gets to play 5 to 10 minutes, then I again. Those were the turns, but it was just so exhilarating experience to me. Spider-Man 3 in the PlayStation Portable. So when I got Marvel Spider-Man in my first console experience, मतलब authentic console, like home console TV experience for PlayStation 4 Slim, I was just mind blown. The graphics from what I had experienced to what I know now is prevalent in and common in gaming industry. I know everyone enjoys these experiences, but for me, sitting in front of TV having this experience again was very fun. And it's not like I hadn't played consoles. I used to go to clubs, and clubs you get 1 hour for 500 rupees. I had played a lot of Xbox in clubs. Rental services were always there. So it's not like I hadn't, but it was not as prevalent. And having a personal space and just playing it all, it was a very good experience. What Marvel Spider-Man taught me was to just be giddy about things and just it had a very good story, a fun story, and I was able to feel happy throughout playing it. And that helps you get out of very tough situations in life when you're not going through a lot of good stuff in life. You just play games for few hours, and that hobby cherishes you, makes you smile, makes you feel happy, and you can go on about doing other things again that you were supposed to. Hobby at its place, when it's not an addiction, is a good thing. So the second game that I really liked was Persona 5. The thing is that I bought the 5 one, not the Royal Edition. I got it for sale for 1000 rupees again. But the thing is, I knew that I was not going to be able to beat the Royal because it had more 50 hours into it. The base edition, I had to put 112 hours to beat the base game. So thankfully, I did not buy the Royal Edition. For me at that time, spending 3 to 4 months of my time in just one game every day's few hours was very difficult. But the story that it enlaps is that you have to live in this psychological someone other's life, and then you be this college student, someone in Japan, have this personalities. I really like Pokemon as a child. I was into it a lot. I had seen the first TV shows that came because it came on television, and I was similar. It was this similar Pokemon experience that you level up your personas instead of Pokemons now, and you go about the world. You manage your classes and then your personal life, and at night you go about um, exploring dungeons and this and that, completing objectives before a deadline. And there had been several good storyline points. Like I did not felt skipping the texts, dialogue texts that come along, because they were just so, captivating. Usually, even though I play other video games, and most of the times I just skip the dialogue to the end and focus on the content. But this time, it for this one game, it was very interesting dialogue, and I found myself almost never skipping the dialogue. I would go through all the dialogue because it was just nice talking, and it just made me know the value of time management. That even though I'm not playing my life, I'm playing someone's hypothetical life at somewhere in Japan, and he's managing his busy life of sci-fi, um, studying and the outdoor activities and at night monsters. But time management is a valuable lesson, a habit that you learn from this video game that you never thought possible. You don't think that video games teach you anything, but they do in the most simplest ways. This fiction, interactive medias, this fiction stories help you relive a part of you that you once cherished and enjoyed. So it was a very good experience. The stories and cutscenes are on next level. Like even the current gen PlayStation 5 exclusives that have come along, they are not as extremely different next gen look like. They are more like just a small upgrade from the PlayStation 4, the cutscenes. So Persona 5 cutscenes were very nice. They were a very next, well, very good. So the next game that I'm going to talk about is Witcher 3. Yeah, Witcher 3 was a game that I had to convince my parents for buying. Like I was in 10th standard, right? So still I had to get the permission. I got it on sale for 300 rupees. Most of the games I've got are less than 1000 rupees. It's like less than $10 in US. So I get them on sale. I never buy them full price because I bought a console on a time when the next gen console and next gen games were selling. So that's the best time to buy a console because you'll get the games on less than half the price, and most of them would go almost 80%, 90% discount. Even 70% is fine on sales, on summer sales, winter sales, autumn sales. They are very nice. And PlayStation 4 was regularly going on sales. Even during COVID, they gave off Uncharted 1 to 3, the collection for free. Then they gave off Journey for free. All those games during COVID, I was able to enjoy, and they gave them off free at a time that I was never going to spend money anyway. So I enjoyed those things. So I got my games very cheap. 300 rupees, Witcher 3 base edition, no DLC. But the thing about Witcher 3 is, yes, I skipped most of the entire dialogue that I played. 110 hours Witcher 3 I had to play before I I almost did multiple playthroughs actually. I did first playthrough, end game credits, then I did second playthrough where I did 40% of the game, got my best armor that I wanted, that cat armor that you get, and I maxed it out, and then I got my master craft kit, and then I maxed everything out again. So the lesson I learned in Witcher 3 is how good RPGs can be. The crafting mechanics, the just, you know, even the economy is broke in Witcher 3, you just collect the items from 1000 corpses and you can sell them for a profit, or you can do crazy things like just collect things and then sell them at a very good profit. Those things make you very rich in Witcher 3 very fast. Like I was just, you know, gathering stuff from people and who died and then selling them off. You get thousands of coins very easily. So, but exploring different places, admiring the beauty. This is one of the first games where I was like, wow, the PS4 level graphics, but the graphics were amazing to me. I enjoyed it. Those were like the best moments of my console experience with PS4. I would just go around whatever. Sometimes I would just take a boat and go around somewhere slowly. Somewhere I would just run around for some time. I would rarely use Roach the horse. I would just run around everywhere. And it took a long time for me to beat the game, you can say. And I often completed it in normal difficulty. I never went hard or easy difficulty. I just completed in standard default difficulty because I thought that's the best reasoning to do. And just the quests were just amazing. Like you um save people from bandit camps, you collect materials from other bandits by taking the loot, you do fetch quests, you do this and that. Everything about Witcher 3 was my first very good RPG experience. The only lesson that's worth its grain of salt in this one is that I had an experience, an adventure of a beautiful and enriching world. These things you get when you read books, these things you get when you go out and explore the world by yourself. These are the same experiences that you are able to get for just 300 rupees sitting in front of TV, and still you enjoy them. It refreshes your mind, makes you feel like this is fun, and then you're happy again, so you can go out in the world, do the work that you're supposed to do anyway, even though you don't like it, but you're now full of energy because of the experience you had. So I'd say I like Witcher 3 a lot, and now I am just happy to have had that experience in my life. Then another game, GTA 5. Yeah, GTA 5 was like my sister eventually decided to go to US for further studies, and it was like after COVID, and after 1 year she came back for meeting us. Then she would go again to further her career. So she brought me in GTA 5 and Last of Us 2. And Last of Us Remastered I enjoyed a lot during COVID, but Last of Us 2, never clicked with me a lot because I think it was too broad, too ambitious. They should have narrowed down the scheme. With GTA 5, she got me both 20 $25, and Last of Us 2, I think it was when it released, so it was $30 $40. So GTA 5, I think I've replayed this game, finished it almost 3 to 4 times. When I first got GTA 5, it was during my summer vacation. So I had like 2 to 3 months of vacation. In college. I get 2 months of vacation, but I got very less when I was young. So in college, I get 2 to 3 months of vacation. So I finished GTA 5 in 15 days. The first 15 days that I got it, I finished it in 15 days. Then I just roamed around the world doing stupid things. I exploited the stock system and the assassination missions to get myself like 400 million per character. And then I just bought the expensive cars, lived the retired life. In like 15 20 days, I had finished the game, and then for 2 3 months, I just enjoyed. And the thing that I learned about GTA 5 is that sometimes the real world can be harsh, but there can still be funny situations in the real world. GTA 5 world is harsh, that violence and rigidity is present in the world. But there are also funny moments. Yes, you have to do crime to earn money, but the way they present it is just so funny that the main character, Michael, he was set in his life, but due to stupid situations, he pulls someone's house from the mountain, and that owner comes to get a fight with him. Now he has to earn money again. The situations are very funny. So yes, life can be harsh, but it can also have funny moments. It can have good moments. It taught me that life can still be fun, even though it is harsh. The next game is GTA San Andreas. So I admit I played this game on my phone in I guess 2019. I played it when it came to Android, and I still hadn't got my. No, I think I had my PlayStation. Yes, but I played it on my Android phone. I downloaded it APK file, and it took me some time to get it running. But I downloaded it with cheat mode, so I had all the cheats. I just click a button and they get applied. So I finished it on my phone. Every time I use my phone, it would be burning like very hot, and I would have to concentrate very well while shooting. It was a difficult experience. Took me some time, very long time to finish only main quests. I could not do side quests. There were not many side quests. There were main missions mainly, but I completed the story. I beat the game. I unlocked the second, third cities, and I did some dating and other missions that we are supposed to do in the other cities. And I finished the game with cheats. It's not that difficult. You just click a button, your health is full. You just click a button, and you have infinite ammo. So, but the immersive experiences, like you have to drive from one mission to another with this whole truck, and I don't remember all the missions, but it had a very positive impact in my life because the driving most of all was very fun. I did not had the license yet. I was not 18, so I did not had a driving license, but I got drive in GTA 5. That's a very inaccurate representation. Yes, GTA 5 people don't drive sanely. They don't even drive in a right way. But it was a fun experience. No, not GTA 5. Sorry, GTA San Andreas. But it was a very good experience for me. I had a exploration kind of thing. So I think GTA San Andreas left a very good impact on me because it had a storyline that impacted me emotionally, and I had to work very hard to get this GTA San Andreas experience because my laptop, when I tried downloading San Andreas, it stuttered like 5 to 10 FPS, the laptop that I had during that time. So after eventually I got it on my phone, and I had to work very hard to get San Andreas running. And after two, three different tries, and then I got it and I got this experience and it was good. I enjoyed it. And the lesson that I got from this is that sometimes hard work is rewarding. You do stupid missions, they might not be rewarding, but the eventual story and the eventual missions that you get might be rewarding. So you have to just keep going. You might not know what you find. I did not know the story of GTA San Andreas before I went into it, but I had some ideas because online social media. But when I went into GTA San Andreas, I enjoyed it a lot. And I also finished GTA Vice City in my PlayStation Portable. That was a very nice experience, and Chinatown was a decent experience. But San Andreas was what hit me. San Andreas was like very good exploration, very big. And GTA 5's world is though big, but it's not as interactive as San Andreas was because most of the GTA 5 map is covered in mountains and all those things. You might measure it and the GTA San Andreas and 5 map would be same. But San Andreas was like you can drive on all those places. There are more streets, not more mountains. But I think GTA 5 is in every way better than San Andreas. But it was just at that time in my life, I enjoyed that a lot. Then the sixth game that I really, really liked was Tears of the Kingdom. I put 240 hours in the game, and then I sold my console because I think I had done everything I could. I already beat the game and almost had every Korok seed possible. Those seeds, I had a lot of them. I had like a lot of slots in everything. And then I had done a lot of shrines, only like five, six shrines I was unable to yet find. And I explored it a lot. Tears of the Kingdom was like very grindy at first because you have to like grind a lot for your battery. I had maxed out my battery, but it took like 12 to 15 hours to do so because I'm not that efficient. If I find something, I just go run for that first. Then I forget that I had to be grinding. So Tears of the Kingdom was like a very good experience. I obviously beat the final boss with my barbarian armor, maxed attack power, maxed barbarian armor, and then I used Gibdo bone arrows. I used hundreds of bomb flowers. I used the best Lionel sheets. The Colosseum is a very interesting experience. The dark Colosseum that you get underground is a very interesting boss fight. I did that like hundreds of times, so I had like end game equipment all over me. So I was able to easily beat the Phantom Ganon, Final Ganon. You could say the like King Ganon. I was easily able to beat him. I had like 10 to 12 hearts even after he was like defeated. So I don't think it was that difficult for me. But Tears of the Kingdom is not about the challenge. It's about the, you know, funniness, you could say. Tears of the Kingdom is a funny game. You could be fooling around. Link is considered as the last line of defense, but you wouldn't think otherwise if you saw him fight. Sometimes he can be monstrously powerful because when he's aiming, he can slow time. He has abilities that most people can't see. He can make automated machines that, if your creativity allows, can just go around killing dozens of enemies without you even doing more than flickering a finger. He is very potential driven, but the thing is that the way you go about doing those things can sometimes turn in the most uncertain circumstances like you never think possible. But the I had a fun time. I had a fun adventure playing Tears of the Kingdom. The only lesson I learned from it was how much life has to enjoy. You play Tears of the Kingdom, you just enjoy it a lot, no matter the age group. Life is like an ocean, and some people just go about having a bucket and a teaspoon and filling up their bucket with their teaspoon to achieve happiness. You don't have to be so narrow minded. There is oceans of happiness. Explore different options. That's what Tears of the Kingdom taught me, that there is a lot of things to enjoy. Oceans and oceans of enjoyment is there. It's just that you have to open your mind to it. Tears of the Kingdom was memorable experience that I enjoyed to my heart's content. It's like already in my top 10 best games I've ever played. I put 240 hours into it, and then I thought I couldn't put any more, so I sold the Nintendo Switch Lite I had, because who keeps consoles that you won't play? Then next is the Pokemon Arceus game. I was always a Pokemon fan. I used to emulate Pokemon games in my PlayStation Portable, the very first Pokemon Red, Pokemon Green Leaf games. And I would like play 30, 40 hours on each game to beat it, to obviously 2 to 5 times speed, but with the cheat. But it was a good experience. But then I was able to see that the new games of the Pokemon were not as interesting and appealing. The Pokemon Sword was not really catching my eye. Then Pokemon Arceus game, and it was like, maybe this makes sense for me. So I just tried it out without being very, you know, opinion uh, thinking. So I took the Pokemon Arceus, I bought it, and then I played it, and it was a good time. I beat the game. I did a lot of endgame stuff, but I could not collect every Pokemon possible to get to Mr. Arceus and have a fight with him. That is something very difficult because you have to, collecting every Pokemon in other games is not as difficult because you have a catch rate. So you put 20 hours, you'll eventually get him. But this time, the Pokemon are live. So if you do not find the Pokemon, you have to go back to camp. You don't have to go into grass this time. You have to go back to camp, come again, and see if the Pokemon is there. That is more difficult to catch Pokemon now. Every Pokemon is difficult to catch now. So yes, I enjoyed my playthrough and it was a very good experience. Management of Pokemon now finally yielded some rewards. Until now, there was just collections of Pokemon in every other game that did nothing for us. No rewards, but this time it was a very good experience that managing Pokemon gave something nice. So that was that. And the thing that I learned from Pokemon Arceus was that how to make friends. You know, something that you never think a game would teach you, right? But Pokemon Arceus had a very good impact on my life, I would say, because I was friends with all my Pokemon, and my favorite Pokemons I kept with me for the journey. I was connecting to my Pokemon, and I enjoyed talking to my Pokemon, even though it's imaginary fiction story. So that's that. Then next is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Shin Budokai Another Road. This is a PlayStation portable game. This is one of the first games I ever got, and I had to travel a lot, very far side of city to get this game installed. But when I got it, um, I just could not believe my eyes that such a fun game could exist. There is a system. There is a system in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai uh, thing. So there was a system in the game that I think is a very key feature that has not been implemented in the new games, that you could give sensu beans to your other other NPCs, and you can take sensu beans. You have lives when you go around in the actual world. You go around, you fight instead of, it was like what's implemented in Dragon Ball Kakarot, but they had a city system. Like if you just sit around do nothing, the villains would start destroying the cities, and you'd get a lower ratage of success. You'd get a bad grade, and if you just let all cities be destroyed, then you would have a failed mission. So there were a lot of creative and innovative things put in the Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai on the road, and if you fail a mission, you get a different boss. If you win a mission, you get a different boss. So um, it was a very good game for my first PlayStation portable game, and I enjoyed it a lot. The main lesson I learned about was that there was no lesson for this game. It's just a game I played as a child, but it was a good game. And then another game that I have played hell out of is Fortnite. Yes, a battle royale game. I've like put 700 hours into it before my PlayStation got old. Rest in peace. But I think it was like a very good experience. I have not put a lot of money into it. I have max put $10 into the game to get one battle pass, but most of the other times I get battle passes for free because you play the game, you get some V-Bucks on its own. So, but the thing is that it's a good game. Fortnite Battle Royale, you just shoot around people, you run around the world. And I'm not saying I'm a very good player, I'm a very below average player in Fortnite, and I am not that good at building. But if you put this many hours into it, you become a decent player at least. You get decent building skills, you get decent shooting skills. Like you're at least now I was at least able to get into top 20, top 10 every time with like 6, 7, 8 kills. And I'm not that exceptional player, but I put so many hours into it that I was able to eventually get into it. So Fortnite was very good game. I played a lot in during COVID. The thing was that the whole world was shut down. What to do? My cousin brother decided to come in. Matlab, their parents were in COVID positive, so my cousin brother decided to come into our house and live for a few months until their parents were better. So me and my brother and my father sitting around the house. My mom was also COVID positive, so she went to hospital to take care. So no one to, you know, look after us. We were just playing 10 to 12 hours a day. And my boards eventually got cancelled. So 12th standard boards eventually got cancelled. So I had no reason to not play. So me and my brother we played a lot of it. And it was a good experience. I had two controllers at that time. So it was a good experience. Yeah. I co-op experience, you could say. It was a good co-op experience. And the I would just like to conclude this thing as that there are a lot of hobbies that do not have severe dampening mental influences on your life. You could be drinking, eating junk food. You could be violently beating other people for fun. You could be insulting others to make yourself feel better. You could be doing all sorts of things in this world. It's not like someone stopping you from doing weird things under the radar. If your parents don't know, you can do a lot of weird things. But instead of those things, some people might be just playing video games for hobby. I don't think that's a very bad thing. It doesn't have unless it doesn't have a very budgetary influence in your life. If you're not overspending, just a decent amount of your income, and if it's not an addiction, then I think video games are a very good hobby. It's not something very negative that people tend to believe. Oh, you're playing video games, you must be not studying and being a goofball. No, I am a decent hard worker. I study for fun too, but people tend to get burned out. People tend to be like, oh, I have had enough of this. I need to relax for a few hours, refresh my mind, and then I'll go about working 10 times again. So different people have different hobbies. You might go to swimming, you might go socialize, but people like me, there are some niche people like me that like to do video games. And I think video games have become more and more casual and more approachable over the years. That is why the industry is growing. Obviously, that is why the revenue overall is growing for and the potential for video game industry. And that is a good thing that casual people can also indulge in it. But it's just a fiction world. Sometimes you just want to calm your mind, go to another world, experience fictional experiences, fictional stories. You just want to run away for some time from the real world. And I understand that. One of the best books that I've read over the years are those Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings stories. Those Bridgeton and those different weirds like Calloway sister stories. I enjoyed reading them because I was able to get a fiction story in my head and stopped worrying about my own life problems for once and started thinking about how amazing other people were. So, what if you play video games? Video games are also important. And I say they have a major impact in my life. When I go work 6 to 8 hours every day in college, I am in an elite college. It's not like a very regular college. I pay 2 lakh rupees fees per semester. So it's an expensive college and it's difficult to manage. I barely pass by, but I do that. And after that, I am tired. I come home. I talk to my parents. I play for 15 to 20 minutes and then I just buzz off for the day. I switch off my mind, and that's okay. Video games cannot be a negative influence because it does not have a negative impact on your life that you think. Most of them, most of the things that people say are myths actually. They do not make you not study. They do not make you more lazy. They do not damage your brain. They actually improve your, perception, eyesight. They improve it because studies have showed so. Because you're, you know, controlling your eyesight very fast. You're looking at FPS games and you're very, aware of the environment. Video games are not all bad. If you overindulge in anything too much, it's not good for you. But you look at other addictions, I think that this has very little negatives and a lot of multiple positives. This has worked out for me as a hobby, and I would say that it might work out for you too. So broaden your mind and see if video games are for you. And if they are, don't be ashamed, because even though I was, I am not anymore. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for listening to me for all this time. I'm grateful that I'm able to talk this out and make my mind a bit more refreshed. So, see you. Thank you.